You ever catch yourself doing a behavior or thinking a thought or even looking like one of your parents or siblings? What's that about? Is it just genes that get repeated generation to generation? Hi, and welcome. I'm Reverend Allie Bierman, and this is Let's Get Metaphysical show, where we tune you in to what's going on out of your awareness. The program's running you, making your world look exactly the way it does in each moment. Let's return to our topic. I know sometimes people, especially when you're young, if you're exhibiting a behavior, and it may be a great one or it may be a behavior parents would really prefer that you're not doing, well, where's that coming from? And if you're raised to think, if you hear the words when you're growing up, oh, that you're just like your brother, you're just like your father, you're just like your aunt. You hear words like that, they go inside and they're creating your self-esteem. You're not born with your self-esteem. It's all created and it's all artificial because you're not the one making the choices. So it's all of your early caretakers, and that includes siblings, not just your parents, and maybe neighbors, and maybe early babysitters or teachers. They're telling you how to behave. And you don't know anything different. You don't know you have a choice that you can reject it. So you take it on. And those are just things that later on, when you're older and you go to investigate, you say, I know I've been doing this for a long time. And I think it started this day because of this event that happened. And maybe that's true, but you also ingrained it. You also made it part of your paradigm. The paradigm that we each have is very, very, very hard to change. So even when you recognize you have a pattern in there that you don't choose to have, changing it to something else, that's a real challenge. Why? Because your body, mind, spirit, mostly your mind, wants you to change back. They don't want you to change. And what doesn't want you to change is your paradigm, because then you have to change your behavior into other people, to other events. So your paradigm doesn't want to change. The people in your world sure don't want you to change. They'll always work hard to get you to change back. And as an aside, if you're working with somebody and they're helping you to change a paradigm, that's not the end of it. You have to put in a program that keeps you on target, that actually eliminates the old paradigm, replacing it consciously, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, replacing it with your new program and putting that into your body, your mind, your spirit. There was a very, very interesting technique I learned all through the years when I was discovering new kinds of technologies to use in my practice. And one of them was going after miasms. Now, there are different miasms, and what was called the miasm theory, which is no longer recognized, said that all diseases in the world came from, and it listed basically 3 different diseases, and it had to be in your family line for you to contract a whole myriad of diseases later in life. Well, what we were using it for in my practice, we had this very interesting device, a pendulum. Sure, you use a pendulum in many different ways, but this was a pendulum and it was attached to a stand. So it was hanging there. You never touched it because it would move energetically in response to your saliva. So we would do a swab on the cheek and get your saliva and put it on the pendulum. And then just with different techniques, discover what are the family patterns in there? And we get some very intriguing responses. And remember, we are not touching anything. We are not projecting our conscious energy onto it. And the client isn't either, because the client isn't present and doesn't know the exact timing of when we're doing it. So you could look back and say, where did that behavior come from? Well, there's a good chance part of it's coming from family patterns, but it's family patterns that you're recognizing, that you're taking in, not because you're telling yourself, oh, I got to learn this, but because you're seeing those behavior patterns a lot and often in your family dynamic. Those are part of what's creating your, your self-esteem and also your self-image. And when you decide that's who you are, and you don't have to tell yourself, this is who I am, that's how I've always been, I'm not going to change. At some point, you'll actually be doing that consciously, perhaps even out loud. And what you're doing, you're affirming those ideas, those behaviors in your life forever. Well, it doesn't have to be forever. That's up to you. But how many people do you know? And they'll tell you da 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 da, and that's how I am, and I'm never going to change. So every time they say that, every time they think that, they're ingraining that into their body, their mind, and their spirit. So what they're telling themselves, and remember, whatever you think about, you bring about. They're telling themselves they're going to be that way. So when you meet somebody who's like that, you may choose to not have them be a critical, everyday part of your life. And if there's somebody who you can't help it, they're in your life because of proximity, because they're a relationship, because they're family, because they're people you work with, you make a choice of protecting yourself from those energies. And you begin that choice with knowing it's their stuff. It's not mine. And I don't have to buy into it because they believe it about themselves or they believe it about the whole world, about other people. So who you become in life, it's your choice. And when you're ready to change your paradigms, and I know for myself, I change one major paradigm at a time because your paradigm's going to fight you. It's been there with you all your life. It doesn't want you to make changes. Why? Because you're comfortable. Ago, I was doing a program with Tim Sheard, and he taught it's not really your comfort zone, it's your no zone, your KNOW zone. So when you're in a situation, that's what you do, isn't it? I mean, really think about it. You go back to a behavior that you've already done, that you've already known, that you've already used in a similar situation. It's what you know. But what you know is a choice that you made. And every time you repeat that behavior, you're reinforcing keeping that choice. And that is, in fact, a choice. So you can go to a new paradigm. And one of the books I really highly recommend for you today, I've done it before. You can get the audio book, which makes it really, really easy. I like to play audiobooks when I'm sleeping at night because I'm asleep. But that doesn't mean my mind's asleep. Nothing up there is sleeping. Your body, your brain, everything's still functioning. So it's getting in. And when I wake up in the morning each day, I'm just a little bit closer to that paradigm, the new one, the paradigm shift. And I'm also taking awareness steps to change my paradigm. And just to throw out something real quick, when I catch myself in a way other than having really good posture and smiling inside, if not outside, I just bring myself back to the awareness. And I'll just state a few words. affirmations don't work. And if you've tried them for a long, 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 long time and not seen complete changes, that's why. And I can tell you about that another time. Right now, look for Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor, and you can use your Audible free gift to download your own copy. Other things that you'll notice in your behavior when you start to notice, otherwise they're just automatically in your world. And you take in some that you might see repeated in lots of different people in lots of different situations, especially if they're family members. It doesn't make any of that yours, unique to you. It just means you're taking on other people's stuff, which it's pretty difficult to know you have a choice about that. Another thing that I notice really, really powerfully when I work with a client, I'll find out what's going on. Each body element, your muscles, your meridians, your chakras, your glands, your organs, all store different emotional themes. So if you notice, if you're waking up a certain time of night, well, that's because that organ system is alive at that time of night. Or if you have a discomfort during the daytime, well, look and see what organ system is active at that period. And the other thing, I look up and see whatever are the connecting issues for each muscle, and then go through them and see what themes come along with those issues. But we can't stop there, because just because the issue's there doesn't mean they're alive and well and running you right now. In fact, they're just letting us know key triggers out of your awareness. What you think about, you bring about. Well, sometimes it's the word, it's the issue, it's the emotion itself. But guess what? Sometimes it's the exact opposite of that emotion. Even bigger than that, sometimes, frequently, it isn't even your stuff. What you're holding inside you belongs to somebody else in your early childhood. For many people, it's their mom or whoever raised them. So always got to find out, is this yours or does this belong to somebody else? And then I would work with you to get rid of it when it belongs to somebody else. And you can immediately feel this huge relief. Thank you again for joining me, Reverend Allie Bierman, at Let's Get Metaphysical show. And remember, you can join our Facebook group where you can ask questions, where you can make some new friends, where you can see extras I frequently put in there. When you go to our show website, you can watch or listen to any episode. And we have hundreds of them there. You're sure to find something you like. I appreciate when you're on our website to give us a review so that other people can know exactly what we're about. So if that's what they're interested in, they can give us a listen. Remember, suffering is always, not sometimes, but always optional. Yes, bad things happen in everyone's life. It's what you do with them. It's not the event. It's what you do processing the event that either blocks you and messes you up or gives you a new avenue to travel in your life. So contact me and I'll show you what we can do. I won't even have to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. No medicines, no drugs. And keep you on the road to, oh, I feel a whole lot better. I don't need to struggle. Please come back next week where we're going to talk further about what you think about, you bring about, and how that happens. Remember to enjoy, that's capital I-N, capital J-O-Y, moment. because nothing in your life ever happens out there. Everything happens inside. Where can you guess from today's episode? Nothing actually happens in here. You create stuff from the outside world and you interpret it. And that's how it becomes your momentary reality. I look forward to being here with you next